Hello students, I am back for one more video of listening and it is video number 10. Students, I hope you are fine and doing great in your studies. Today I am going to discuss about listening and what are the strategies, what are the things that we need to keep in mind. It is mainly a doubt solving video. Before I come to the point, let me say that in previous video, it means in video number 9, we had a doubt solving. Here also we are going to have doubt solving of the assessment task that I have given. Students, this is Saraswati Sisukunj Vagwala Bhushan and it is mainly a doubt solving video of video number 9. So in video number 9, I have given an assessment task and based on that assessment task, students, we are going to discuss. So you are going to do listening for the second time and along with you, I am going to do listening and let's see. I am going to write my answers on the board. I have already written the questions and you are going to do for the second time. You can write in the answer sheet, take a pencil and paper, write your answers and we will discuss about all this. Students, now you are going to listen for the second time. You know what are the answers, but we will discuss that what answer is supposed to be and why we have to write a particular answer. So this is mainly based on a doubt solving video of the previous one that I have given for the assessment task. Students, it is a conversation between two persons and it is mainly on visa application form. Without delay, students, I am going to play the listening track for you. As I mentioned, I am also going to do listening and I will write my answers on the board and then we will discuss that what answer is supposed to be. Students, start your listening.
Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4. Now look at Part 1.
Part 1. You will hear a conversation between a visa officer and an applicant. You have 30 seconds to read the questions first.
First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good morning, Visa Office. How can I help you?
Good morning. I'd like to apply for a visa to Australia, please.
Certainly, sir. I'll just get a form and then I'll need to take some details down. OK, here we go. Right. Can I have your name, please?
Yes, it's Akamora, Kelly Akamora.
How do you spell that, please?
K-E-double-L...
No, your family name, please.
Oh, sorry. It's O-K-A-M-U-R-A.
O-K-A-M-U-R-A. And your address?
Apartment 106, Kingston Street, Hawaii.
Kingston Street, Hawaii.
Yes, that's correct.
So you're an American?
Actually, I was born in Japan, but moved to Hawaii 6 years ago.
And can I have your age, please, Mr. Okamura?
I'm 32.
Are you married?
Yes, I am. My wife's Chinese.
And will your wife accompany you to Australia?
Yes, she will.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
And will your wife accompany you to Australia?
Yes, she will. In fact, that's the reason we want to go. Her sister lives in Sydney.
And do you have any relatives living in Australia?
I used to have an uncle, but he died several years ago. Now there's only my sister-in-law and my wife's cousin.
So the purpose of your trip is to visit your wife's relatives, am I correct?
Well, not exactly. Mainly because I have my own trading company and I will be looking for business opportunities. Although I do want to do some travelling as well. You know, see some of the sights, that sort of thing. Although I don't intend to work in Australia.
And your wife, what will she be doing?
She'll be studying English. She wants a student visa.
And how long do you plan to stay?
About 1 year, I guess.
Well, I'm afraid a standard tourist visa is only valid for 30 days, although in your case, we can issue you with a business visa. Business visas last for 6 months, but you will be able to renew it. We can give your wife a 12-month visa though.
6 months is okay, so what do I need to do now?
Come along to the office any time during weekdays, but it must be office hours. We close at 5:30. And bring along 2 passport-sized photos, and your passport, of course. Your wife will also need 2 photos, so that's 4 passport-sized photos in total.
Okay, thank you for your help. Bye.
Bye.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Students, I have done my listening and you can see my answers on the board. And I hope you have done your listening and you have written your answers in the answer sheet. Okay, now in the beginning I have mentioned that this is a conversation between 2 persons, and who are they? They are, one is visa officers and the second one is applicant. They are going to discuss about visa process, what has to be done. And it is an application form. So, it is the conversation goes on, and I always mention students that what are the things that you need to keep in mind. First, that is instruction. Write one word or a number for each answer. So, your answer should be only on one word or a number. It should not be more than 2. Okay. So, instructions always you need to keep in mind. Let's begin. Name. Now, visa officers ask an applicant about the process. The lady says, "What is your name?" And Mr. Okamura says, "Kenny." "And what is your family name?" Now, what does it mean by family name? Family name means it is a surname. So, what is the surname? O-K-A-M-U-R-A. If you listen, definitely you get it. And before Kelly says K-E-L-Y, then immediately the visa officer says, "Stop. I want your family name." So family name again it is being said, Okamura. Okay. Then the conversation continues and it says, "May I know your address, please?" What the visa officer asks, "May I know your address, please?" So it is Kingston Street, Hawaii. What is the address? Kingston Street, Hawaii. Okay. Now also asks, "May I know your nationality?" So what is the Okamura replies? Okamura says, I was born in Japan, but after 6 years I moved to Hawaii. So what is the correct answer? Japan is the nationality of Okamura, Mr. Kenny Okamura. Okay. And may I know your age, please? Who says? The applicant, no. The applicant officers asks. Who asks? The inquiry, that means one who is officer asks Mr. Okamura, "May I know your age, please?" Okay, so it is 32. "And are you married?" What Okamura replies? Okamura says, "Yes, I am married." and this is all about the conversations. But it is very easy that you can find. Why? Because it is only one word and or a number. So if you listen very attentively, you get the correct answers of all these 5 questions. Students, we will discuss more about all remaining 5 questions, and then we will see that how to go about, how do you get answers. So sometimes they make you confused, and they say purposely, they say that it is a sorry, and when you do listening for the second time, you get the correct answers. Okay, now we will discuss some more 5 questions that we will see how it is being done, students. Students, we have completed doubt solving all 5 questions. Okay, now look at questions 6 to 8. It is clearly mentioned in the instruction. Before you start listening to the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 8. And in my previous video, many times I have mentioned, whenever time is given to you to read the questions, I think it is a very crucial time. Why? Because in that particular span of time, you can read the questions, and when you read the questions, you can remember, and it will be very easy for you to guess the answer, and you will get the correct answer. So this is the strategy that we have in listening, in applied English listening particularly. Okay, now we will see the first question, that is 6. Question number 6. According to the applicant who lives in Australia. So there are a lot of options that you can hear in the conversation when the visa officer asks Mr. Okamura, and you can say that when Okamura replies, do you have any relatives in Australia? Okamura immediately replies that my uncle used to live in Australia, but he passed away several years ago. So his uncle cannot be, the answer cannot be. Okay. And Okamura replies, my wife's cousin lives in Australia. Now wife's cousin means her cousin. So it is written his cousin. So this answer also cannot be okay. And who lives in Australia? His sister-in-law. And later on, you can listen to the conversation, and in the conversation it is clearly mentioned that his sister-in-law lives in Australia. So this is the correct answer. Okay. And what you need to do? You need to put C. The applicant wants to visit the Australia because he wants to do some traveling, to develop his business or work. Okamura says, I don't intend to work in Australia. Okay, so this also cannot be. If you have listened very attentively to the conversation, you can hear that I don't intend to listen. I don't intend to work in Australia. Okay, then do some traveling. Yes, his purpose was that traveling, but his main purpose was not that traveling, but he had his own business, and I look for business. So what is the correct answer? The correct answer, develop his business. So what is the correct answer? B is the correct answer. Okay. The applicants can have a visa form. Now, Okamura's wife wants to do English course. That means he wants to study English, and but there are some criteria of getting visa, for business visa, for student visa, okay, traveling or tourist visa. So now 30 days. Traveling visa is meant for 30 days. Okay. 6 months also cannot be. So what is the correct answer that you get here? The correct answer is for 6 months. Okay. Why? Because they want applicant is getting only 6 months visa. So what is the answer? The answer is 6 months. Students, I have written total 8 questions. Still there are remaining 9 and 10 that I am going to write again on the board. Due to space, again I am going to write the board, and then I will explain to you what is the correct answer that you get. Okay, students? I hope you have understood this question. Students, now we have solved all 8 questions of listening. Students, now 2 more questions are remaining, and then we will have the clear cut of this. the 9 questions, but before you need to follow the instructions that I always mention. Questions 9 to 10, complete the information below. You need to complete the information below. Okay. Write one word only. You need to write only one word and your answer should be only on one word. You cannot write 2 words. If you write 2 words, your answer is wrong. Okay. The applicant must go to the visa office between Monday and what is the now Monday and what word should be? The word should be, do they say in the conversation Friday? No. So you can come to the visa office on weekdays. Okay. So what is the weekdays? Monday to Friday are the weekdays and Saturday, Sunday weekends. So can you write here? It is the correct answer, Friday. Students, if you have done listening very carefully, you can hear the clear-cut voice of the applicant officer or the visa officer, and she says that you can come to the visa office during weekdays. Now weekdays means Monday to Friday, but you can't hear the word Friday in the conversation. Why? Because they did not say Friday, but what they said, you can come to the visa office during weekdays. So Monday to Fridays are the weekdays. So what is your answer? Your answer is Friday. Okay. Let's move to the last questions. What two things must applicant take to the visa office? What are the 2 things? If you photos, and what is the other word? The other word, that is, you can take photos and passport. Okay. But if you have heard very carefully, then only you get the word. Because many a times what happens, they purposely stress on a particular answer. So if you feel and if you do listening very attentively, you get the correct answer. That is definitely it is passport. So I have got the correct answers. Students, I hope that I have explained all 10 questions, and I hope that you have understood.
The test is in 4 parts. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4. Now look at Part 1.
Part 1.
You will hear a woman talking on the telephone to a man about a car he is selling. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 4. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 4.
Hello, Brian Park speaking.
Oh, hello. I'm calling about the advert in the paper.
For the car?
Yes, the Mini you've got advertised for sale.
Oh, yes.
I just wanted to find out a bit more information.
Of course. What would you like to know?
It's my brother who's interested, actually, but he's not in today, so he asked me to call you.
Fine.
Great, thanks. So, it's a Mini,
Yep.
and how old is it?
Just coming up to 13 years old.
And I seem to remember from the ad that it's grey.
That's it. Doesn't show the dirt.
Absolutely. Anyway, the colour shouldn't be a problem for Jeff. You know, the important thing is the quality.
Yes, of course.
And what about mileage? With it being pretty old, it's probably over 100,000?
Actually, it's 40,000 less than that. 62,000 on the clock.
Great! I remember now. I'm confusing it with another ad I was looking at.
Right. Pleasant surprise then.
Yeah. Have you been the only owner, or was there a previous one?
I'm the second one. Before, it was owned by a teacher who was a very careful driver, didn't have any accidents.
Very good. And what about you? What do you tend to use it for?
I haven't used it all that much, mostly for shopping. You know the sort of thing.
So not much wear and tear. I'll make a note of that. I know Jeff wanted me to check that.
Right.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 5 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 5 to 10.
Now, about the price, I see you've got it down as £1,250. I'm not sure Jeff will be able to come up with that amount.
In the ad, I did say 1,250 or nearest offer.
So would you be prepared to go down to 1,000?
That's really too low, I'm afraid.
1,100?
I might be able to go to that.
Okay, I'll make a note of that. What about tax? Is it due soon?
Got another 5 months before it's due.
Oh, that's a real plus, yes. I'll make a note of that.
Okay.
Now, you say it's in good condition.
For its age, I'd say yes, definitely. It's just been serviced and there were no major problems.
Major.
I'd be able to show you the service report. The only thing is, you'd have to get a new tyre in the near future. Though it's still okay, you know. It's certainly absolutely safe at the moment.
Okay, fair enough. Yes, I understand.
And the garage also mentioned that one headlight could probably do with replacing. They think there's a fault there, you know, intermittent.
Well, we'd obviously look at all the documents, but that sounds very straightforward.
Of course. I've got all the service documents up to date, and you can look at those.
Well, it all sounds pretty good, and I know my brother will be interested, so would it be possible for him to see the car? He's back from his trip tomorrow and away tonight, so how about tomorrow?
Tomorrow? Wednesday? I'm afraid that's not possible. I'm out pretty much all day.
Well, Thursday then?
That'd be fine, yeah.
In the morning?
Yes, that'd suit me perfectly.
Great.
Now, you'll need my address.
Oh, yes, of course. What is it?
It's number 238,
238?
London Road.
Oh, that's easy enough.
Yes, very straightforward.
So I'll pass on these notes to Jeff, and he'll see you in a couple.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
Part 2.
You will hear two students talking about a class assignment about wild bird rescue and rehabilitation.
First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
Okay, let's go over the requirements and see what we have left to do.
Let's see. We have to give the professor a written summary of the information we've gathered on our topic, wild bird rescue and rehabilitation.
The other written thing we have to turn in is a case study of the rehabilitation of one bird. We have the information on that already.
Right. All we have to do is write it up. What about charts and graphs? Do we need to include something like that?
I don't think so. They aren't really relevant, but we do have to turn in a list of the resources we used.
Naturally. What about videos? I heard some of the other students were doing that.
Well, I guess that must be optional, because I don't see it on the requirements list. Okay, we should start planning our class presentation, since that counts for half the grade.
We've looked at lots of sources of information, but I think our best source was the interviews we did with the wildlife rehabilitators.
Agreed. That and the journal articles. I think we have enough information from those two sources for the presentation anyhow. The books we looked at weren't all that helpful.
I wonder if we should try to bring in some live birds for the presentation.
That would be too difficult, don't you think? But we have lots of photos of rehabilitated birds. We can show those.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 16 to 20.
Right. Okay. I think we should start by talking about how to rescue a bird. Probably first we should help people understand which birds need rescuing.
Yeah, that's really important. Because a lot of times people see a baby bird that's all alone, or they find a bird sitting on the ground and they think it needs to be rescued.
And usually, those are just baby birds learning to fly. So we should emphasize that people should only attempt to rescue a bird that's clearly injured.
For certain kinds of birds, the rescuer needs to wear protective gloves because some of those birds have sharp claws and can tear your shirt, or worse, injure your face or some other part of your body.
Yes, that's an important point. Okay, next, let's tell people to put the injured bird in a box with good air circulation. We should let them know that a cage isn't necessary, and a bag, especially a plastic one, could hurt the bird more.
Another thing we need to say is that the best way to help the bird stay calm is not by petting it or talking to it, but by leaving it completely alone. Then people should take the bird to the bird rescue center as soon as possible.
Right, and we should also point out that when they're driving the bird to the rescue center, it's better not to play music on the radio or talk loudly, because those things just stress the bird.
Yes, it's better just to speak quietly while you have the bird in the car. Okay, we've got that part covered. Next, we should talk about what happens at the rescue center.
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.